Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayavacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Is it a little loud? Today seems a little loud. I'm hearing it too much. Duplicate? Here we go. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be continuing on. I'll read a little bit of what I read last time. We're finishing up with Guru Das's, and then we're going to go to Jamuna's, same time period. So we're cycling through 4 books, actually 5, including Lilamrita. Ooh, Hare Krishna. So here, a little background is they're going to visit a fellow named Nigel, who is going to give them some space to live, a place in a building that a printing outfit is storing magazines and printed matter in. So they're going to talk to him, and they've asked Guru Das to be the spokesperson. So they're leaving the talking to him. So we located the address, and the building doorman inquired as to who we were visiting and rang up Nigel for confirmation. We rode an elaborate Art Deco elevator all the way to the penthouse and stepped out of the elevator into a huge living room with a 360-degree view of London. Nigel got up and bounded over to greet us. He was very slim, almost emaciated, very pale, and had a heavy upper-class English accent. I appreciated his friendliness and overlooked his limp handshake as he made a special effort to be cordial. I was impressed by Nigel's civility, though he was a little shy and awkward. The Samuel family owned a vast jewelry store franchise. However, Nigel's pet business was locating service for rare books named the Bibliophile. So after a small talk, we talked about books. Have you read the Bhagavad Gita? I remembered asking. We talked about the seeming phenomenon of unity that we were experiencing in the underground community. We noted how alike London was to San Francisco in terms of social change and the growing openness to other forms of philosophy and spirituality. I spoke a little about our mission in London. So I said it was prearranged that I would do most of the talking, but I wanted other devotees to talk also, to rescue me from having to carry the conversation. Sensing my feelings, the others also participated in the conversation. Finally, I ventured, Nigel, your building, 22 Betterton Street, has just been vacated by the International Times, so we were wondering if we could live there and have a temple there temporarily. He thought for a moment, yes, that is possible, why not? You can use the 2nd and 3rd floors. Sometimes I come to my office on the top floor, and sometimes another tenant shares the top floor with me, but they won't bother you, he told us, adding, I also won't charge you any rent. We all shook his hand profusely and thanked him. Our new residence, 22 Betterton Street, was situated in the center of Covent Garden district, where wholesale fruit, flowers, and vegetables were sold. The surrounding neighborhood was gradually being converted into chic cafes, restaurants, boutiques, art studios, and lofts. The walls of the interior of our home were exposed bricks, which reminded me of many Greenwich Village pads. The building was a warehouse, not zoned for living. It had no heat, and the taps supplied only freezing water. But at least we had a large space for the temple room and a shelter for us. It was marvelous and rent-free. We had to move around bundles and boxes of past issues of the International Times, and sometimes we used these boxes as tables or furniture. The tenants on the top floor were the black Muslims. Again, I was delegated to do the talking and ask the group of black Muslims who came out all over the warehouse to move. And so they came out all over the warehouse, and he had to ask them to move. By Krishna's grace, they moved out without protest. We had the use of 2 floors. One of the floors was made into a temple room, and with a makeshift kitchen behind it, whereas the other floor above served as our living quarters. Shamasundar built our shower in the garage on the ground floor, and Malati and Saraswati lived on the ground floor in a huge cardboard box. Young people from a place called Arts Lab around the corner on Drury Lane, along with the hippie squatters from nearby buildings, began to visit regularly. 3 enthusiastic youths named Colin, David, and Time began to help out, and then they moved in with us. Eventually, they were initiated and became Kulushekar, Digvijay, and Tirthapad. Our Betterton Street temple locations was right in the heart of London near the British Museum, the Swedenborg Society, the Theosophical Society, the rare and metaphysical book dealers, the theater district, Piccadilly Circus, the BBC, and the embassies. We were at the hub of the world, the center of the universe. Then a reporter from the London Times interviewed us. The article was extremely favorable and open to our ideas. We told him that we were considering chanting in the front of the London Stock Exchange, as well as other sites. The reporter wrote, "The devotees of Krishna are considering chanting in front of the London Stock Exchange. What effect will that have? Krishna only knows." The International Wire Service picked up on this article, and one day some saw the headline, "Krishna Chant Startles London," in the San Francisco Chronicle, and it showed the article to Swamiji, who telephoned us overseas to tell us that he was very pleased. By some little effort on our part, and by Prabhupada's and Krishna's immense grace, Krishna consciousness did indeed startle London in a very short time. When Srila Prabhupada would send me on a mission, I would say, "Krishna," he would say, "Krishna will help you." I saw him encouraging Rai Rama to edit the first Back to Godhead magazine with those words, and be helped by an artist, Charahasa, the same way. Through the years, I have seen how Krishna helped me do to do seemingly impossible tasks. If I was sincere and perseverant, Krishna's mercy manifested itself spectacularly. Krishna consciousness is here. I was becoming accustomed to the new and interesting sights, smells, and sounds of England. Double-decker buses, red telephone kiosks, subways that were called the Underground or the Tube. The men's room signs read gents, and the lavatory was the loo. People were in hospital instead of in the hospital. Thanks became ta, and I was called love and gov. The British populace was very well-mannered in general. There was a small park on the commons every few streets dotting the city. Viewed from above, London seemed like a gigantic green maze. The London community was made up of circles of friends that knew one another. These tribe-like connections were communal rather than geographical, and provided us good chance to meet people with similar interests again and again, even though we were in a large metropolis. The city of London was becoming familiar to me, like a comfortable greatcoat, and I felt like I had been there in a past life. Although I liked London, I could have been anywhere as our temple lifestyle was monkish, insular, and completely engrossing. Our spiritual mission, my 5 friends and baby Saraswati, these composed my world, not the tourist sites or theaters. As the holy names began to take root in the British Isles, I reflected on how my life had changed since meeting Prabhupada and learning about Krishna. Not only did I look different with the shaved head japa and sika, but my right hand was often inside my bead bag and the holy names were on my lips. I chanted between conversations while waiting for the bus and in the temple room. Krishna also blessed me with a chance to meet people from all segments of an exotically different society. I was experiencing new adventures. I was realizing transcendental insights. I was in ecstasy and I shared this joy with others. I was changing people's views and their lives. I was helping attract many new students to move into our temple simply by speaking about Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, and Sri Sri Radha Krishna. I felt guided and rather detached. Prabhupada's dream was coming into being effortlessly. We became acquainted with diplomats like Sri Pant and S.S. Dawani, both the High Commissioners for India in London, and with other important members of the Indian community. It seemed as if the Indian people were happy at last to be worshipping as they did in India, but right in the heart of London. Tom Dryburgh, a member of Parliament, was advising us, especially in the matter of registering ISKCON as a charity in the UK, and he wrote several letters of commendation on our behalf. One time, Mr. Dryburgh invited us to a historic English church where he was giving a guest sermon, and from his ancient podium, he several times quoted from the Bhagavad Gita. We were being accepted by people from all walks of British life as an important part of the London Renaissance. Krishna consciousness, I thought, is indeed here. Another letter from Srila Prabhupada. Seattle, 16 October 1968. My dear Guru Das, please accept my blessings. I am in due receipt of your letter. Nice letter, dated October 11, 1968. And by reading the contents, it is so much encouraging for me. Previous to this, I received one letter from Mukunda, and that was also very encouraging. So I am sure, combined together, you will have a great success in starting ISKCON temples in London. I've also received one letter from Ginsburg. Mr. Tom Dryburgh is an intimate friend of Ginsburg, and he has already written to him promising all help to us. So by the grace of Krishna, there you are meeting nice gentlemen, interested gentlemen, and I hope it will become a very grand success. So by the grace of Krishna, this mission is going on nicely, and I shall be glad to hear from you further good news. Please offer my blessings to your good wife Jamuna, as well as all the other devotees, Mukunda, Shyamasundar, Malati, Janaki, and Saraswati Devi. I hope this will find you in good health. Thanking you once more for writing me, your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Now we're going to Jamuna's book, A Life of Unalloyed Devotion, Preparing an Offering of Love. The section we're picking up on in this part of Jamuna's book is World Sankirtan Party Shifts to London. By now, Srila Prabhupada had progressed through several incarnations of the World Sankirtan Party idea. In letter after letter, in multiple exchanges with different devotees, he sketched out his vision for a party of devotees he could personally take around the world, spreading the chanting of the holy names. Even though challenges prevented its manifestation thus far, his basic concept and his enthusiasm for it had not abated. He discussed with Mukunda the same strategies for creating the party he had previously developed with Hamsadutta. Now another change was to take place. Shyamasundar had been encouraging Srila Prabhupada about the potential for preaching in London, as London had at one time been described by his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as the most important city in the world. And as he started the preaching mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the West by sending disciples there in 1933, it naturally held a special appeal for Srila Prabhupada. He would start the World Sankirtan Party, but first he would send a core group of Sankirtan Party devotees to London to see if he could establish a preaching center there. If that was successful, they could then travel around the world. In a letter written on June 11th to Mukunda, Srila Prabhupada encouraged him in this plan. Here's the letter. Your presence in the London Center with other assistants will be greatly helpful, considering the fact that I wish to form a nice kirtan party consisting of 12 heads, 2 mridanga players, 1 harmonium player in melody, 1 tambura player, and at least 6 cymbal players. In this way, 12 heads shall perform kirtan very rhythmically and melodiously. The harmonium should be practiced just to follow the song, not simply for tuning. I think you can very well organize the Sankirtan party, and if we have a successful Sankirtan party with me, backed by our books and literature, we can make a nice propaganda for this sublime movement in all the European cities. And if we are successful in Europe, then we may go to other countries also, to Asia. In India also we will go there with the Sankirtan party. We shall be very much welcome, and there is great possibility of cooperation of the richer sector of India. So I'm thinking of organizing this nice Sankirtan party very seriously, and you may also think in that way. A letter to Mukunda, June 11th, 1968. Srila Prabhupada's enthusiasm is so palpable in this letter that Jamuna and the others who could initially travel to London were ecstatic. It is clear from all of Srila Prabhupada's letters on the subject that what he envisioned was not a hodgepodge of chanters, but rather a sophisticated, well-trained cadre of musically sound devotees who could attract others to Krishna Bhakti by presenting Harinam Sankirtan in the most attractive and pleasing manner. All of the 6 devotees who would go to open the center were thrilled at the challenge, at the prospect of pleasing Srila Prabhupada, and at the prospect of igniting England with the fire of the holy names. Even heavily pregnant Malati, who would be taking a newborn infant with her to England, Srila Prabhupada wrote to Jamuna during this time, assuring her that their endeavors would be a grand success. At the beginning of August, the 3 couples, Mukunda and Janaki, Jamuna and Gurudas and Shamasundar and Malati, with baby Saraswati, went to Montreal to meet Srila Prabhupada before their London sojourn. In Montreal, Srila Prabhupada would train them in every intricacy of chanting Hare Krishna Kirtan and presenting it to others. The World Sankirtan Party was now going into the world. Specific memories of devotees who served with Yamuna Devi during this and her San Francisco years will be included on a companion website to this book. Toshan Krishna says, he's being quoted, when one is on the Bhakti Marg, everything is personal. Jamuna Devi's abundantly nutritious persona was the direct catalyst, making the crucial difference between myself merely looking at the honey inside the jar and my deliberate decision to dive into it. Toshan just came back a couple days ago. He's here now. So he's the one saying this. By way of my attendance of the Srimad Bhagavatam class, she gave one morning in the summer of 1968 at the Frederick Street Temple in San Francisco, my first visitor's experience of the temple morning program. I, a 17-year-old agnostic, was delightfully treated to the warm realization that Krishna consciousness was not only a very good concept, but was in fact a wealth of wholesome food for the soul, and that you could practically experience, relish, and be fortified with. She was the unpretentious personification of this with both heart and mind. As an existential sojourner, I was weary of the 60s faux counterculture promises. Yamuna was a breath of rich, nourishing reality. She was unhippie, the real deal, hardcore with a soft inner core. She delivered. I wanted what she was dishing out, Shabda Brahman, transcendental sound, spoken with piercing intelligence, deep love, and a beguiling, sparkling, playful smile, transferred from one soul to the next. Simply put, Jamuna was the key impetus for my deciding to move into the temple and then take initiation from Srila Prabhupada. She placed the Kanti Mala around my neck. I profoundly understood she saved my life. Years later, Jamuna reflected on her transition from tentative to committed devotee. For her, the living example, Srila Prabhupada, was core to that change. Her hearing from the scriptures about the qualities and character of a pure devotee and seeing Srila Prabhupada, the living example of those qualities, gradually cemented her dedication and commitment to the process of bhakti. Yamuna said, when I reflected back on the months I spent with Swamiji in San Francisco, I see it as a process of discovery. There would be times where I couldn't understand or grasp what he was saying, perhaps in a lecture, but when I could hear something that made so much sense and was so relevant and important in my life that I would grasp that little realization and embrace it and think about it and try to discuss it with others. And they came like that, little drops, because as soon as the lecture was over, then Swamiji became the emblem of the reservoir of all good qualities. He became the human representative of the personalities we were studying about in the books. So of course, things like kindness and forgiveness and magnanimity, all those things that we associate with the saintly soul, they came out. One was his humor. He was so humorous and so jolly, prasanatma. So he would give me very lofty discourse, and then afterwards he would become so human and such an example of what he spoke of that naturally we were pulled along. So no matter how dull you were, how covered you were by some kind of conditioning, he would pull you on to another stage of Krishna conscious understanding. So it was a day-by-day process of revelation, which over time made me realize that I did want to become a devotee. Some devotees just decided, oh, I'm going to do it right away. And they would say, when I met him, I knew that he was my guru, and I want to do this. But for me, it took some time, and it was revealed through the personality and behavior of Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 4, Immersion in the Ocean of Mercy, set in Montreal in 1968. The mood shifts unmistakably. What unfolds is no longer simple effort or strategy, but a flood, an outpouring of transcendental ecstasy that seems to overwhelm all ordinary boundaries. Perhaps it is there, in that immersion, that the heart naturally wants to go next. The 9 days our party spent with Srila Prabhupada in Montreal were a turning point in our spiritual lives. We spent our first Janmashtami and Vyas Puja in his presence. We received Gayatri mantra. He trained us in kirtan and gave us unlimited blessings. In the morning, Srila Prabhupada had come into the temple room around 9 a.m., and we would sing Guru Vastakam and Mangalacharam Vandeham prayers. And he often asked me to lead, and I would stop he would stop and correct my pronunciation. No, it is this way. He hadn't done that before, but also taught us what he called the afternoon melody and for Guru Vastakam. So now we had the morning and the afternoon melodies. and he was rather keen on us following either those melodies at the proper times. Everyone who chanted with Jamuna from that time on would have known that the propriety of the morning or evening melody of Guru Vastakam remained as an important distinction to her, and on some occasions she would sweetly sing the afternoon melody to a chanter if they did not know it. Srila Prabhupada also began training the devotees in chanting Brahma Samhita, Govinda prayers each day, having them repeat each line after him and correcting any mispronunciations. One day he elaborated on the paper, encouraging the devotees to express their feelings through the chanting. For offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you do not require any high qualification. It doesn't matter, you can offer your prayer from any standard of life, not that you have become very learned man, very scholarly man, or you have to present your prayers in a very nicely selected word so that poetry, rhetoric, prosody, everything is there. Metaphor, nothing is required. Simply you have to express your feelings. To appear in the streets of London with shaven heads and dhotis would require boldness, and it would be exciting to chant carrying out the order of Lord Chaitanya, and the people would follow gradually, but definitely. It was the will of Lord Chaitanya. In fact, this point was beautifully elucidated in a letter written by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to the devotee he sent to London in 1934. If you establish centers and villages in England with deities of Jagannath and Sriman Mahaprabhu, and offer Indian-style preparations and distribute Mahaprasad, then the English will gradually develop a sympathy for and a faith in Indians, and then be inclined to further the Lord's service. Oh, for the day when the people of that country will sing the names of Gora, and with a spiritual attitude honor transcendental prasadam from the temple, then they will understand true spiritual life and cultivate Krishna consciousness. This letter is dated May 29th, 1934. For all the devotees, the Montreal interlude was a life-changing experience. Not only were they constantly encouraged and trained in kirtan and the preaching by Srila Prabhupada, but they accepted Brahman initiation as well. I'd like to correct this because I checked in with Govindadasi, and they're going to say it was the first initiation of Mataji's, but it had taken place May 1968 in Boston, and Jadharani, and there was Annapurna and Govindadasi got initiated. They were the first Brahmins, lady Brahmins. And then the second group was here, but they say it's the first here. I checked in with Govindadasi about it, so. And she was there, Govinda was at their initiation too, because she was traveling with Prabhupada, with Gursundar. They were in Montreal. So when Jamuna, Malati, and Janaki were given Gayatri mantra by Srila Prabhupada, they could not have imagined what an extraordinary and controversial act of love and mercy this was. They had not known that this was, I'm going to say, second time Gayatri had been awarded to women in the line of his Guru Maharaj. It showed an undisguised respect and honor for the dedication of the women of his growing movement, and would remain a sticking point among many of his godbrothers to the very end. In a lecture given at the initiation, Srila Prabhupada beautifully spoke about the blessings given to those who preach Krishna consciousness. Here is his lecture. Just try to spread this message of Krishna consciousness. It is very easy and very fast. Everyone can accept. So on this occasion, when you have come here from San Francisco, prepared to go to London, so my hearty welcome to you. And please do this missionary work very nicely, and Krishna will be pleased upon you. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who is trying to spread this Krishna consciousness movement is the most dear friend of Krishna. If you want to please Krishna, Krishna says that anyone who is trying to spread this Krishna consciousness movement, he is my dearmost friend. So you are all pledged to satisfy Krishna. If you take up this work seriously, Krishna will be very much pleased upon you. Thank you very much. So the idea that whatever I have brought through this Krishna conscious message to your country, that is due to the grace of His divine grace, my spiritual master, who is sitting here. And I'm very much pleased that you have come from San Francisco for going to London Mission. And an auspicious moment you have come there, and you are going to be included in this initiation ceremony. So all auspicious symptoms. And let us be situated firmly in Krishna consciousness and act this missionary work, spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. That will be our life. Will make our life successful, and those who take up this line of activities they will also become very happy. And when the Gayatri mantra is offered to men, they are also offered the sacred thread, and girls, they are not offered sacred thread. If their husband is Brahmin, she automatically becomes Brahmin, because wife is considered to be the better half. She is the better portion. So she automatically becomes a better Brahmin. So better Brahmin does not require any thread. There is a Bengali proverb. The proverb is that in India, if one has got a sacred thread, it is immediately understood that he must be belonging to the higher caste, Brahmin, Kshatriya, or Vaishya. But if someone knows that he is Brahmin or Kshatriya, he simply doesn't require to show the sacred thread. Similarly, the wife of a Brahmin is already known as a Brahmin, so she does not require to show the sacred thread. So don't be sorry because you will not be offered the sacred thread. That is all right. This lecture was August 11th, 1968. The real meaning of Sankirtan, Jamuna. Also at this time, Srila Prabhupada would speak about the glories of preaching to the people at large. And I remember one time there was a question and answer period, and one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada what Sankirtan was. Srila Prabhupada replied that Sankirtan is the process of going to a place, sitting down and chanting the holy names and attracting others to come and chant the holy names. Then when the others were practiced in chanting the holy names enough to go out on their own, you would move to another place and chant the holy names. He said that this was the definition of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, going, chanting Hare Krishna, attracting others, training them up, and then moving on to another place. Srila Prabhupada said, I'm just like a cow. I will take grass in any pasture. Srila Prabhupada graced the 6 of us, Grihastas, and the small baby Saraswati with so much of his personal association in the afternoon hours at his small cottage, all for the purpose of encouraging us in our service. He would hold baby Saraswati on his lap and just pour so much affection into this small child. I remember him looking up, smiling, and saying, a sannyasi should not do like this. Yet he was seeing how enlivening it was for the other devotees to see him treat her with so much affection and love. He embodied in his every interaction that what personalism means in devotional relationships. One day, Yamuna went on a preaching engagement with Srila Prabhupada. Their audience was comprised of 2 young school children. After this lecture, she asked if she could say something before the chanting began, and Srila Prabhupada, pleased that his disciple was stepping forward to encourage others in the chanting, agreed. Jamuna said, I want everybody to listen very carefully. This is a new song. that it would be very nice if you could learn how to sing and learn how to sing it very well. And the only way you can do this is by listening very carefully. Everybody was, so please give your attention to these words. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now, if everybody will do this, stand up, close your eyes very tightly, put your hands up in the air and sing this song so you really learn the words. And then you can go home and teach it to your brothers and sisters and your mother and your father and tell them what you have learned today. So sweet. I have to say you have to say you learned something, so if you teach them this song, that would be very nice. But you must learn it by listening. So listen to the words. Then get up, close your eyes, and just sing. And you'll find it a very nice song. But unless you try, you won't learn it. Just like all the other songs you learn in your class. So try it. So I'm going to say the words, and then you say the words after me. We're going to practice it once, okay? With children repeating, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, now we're gonna clap our hands too. This was, did I do something? Is it still working? Yeah, it is. This one was quintessentially Jamuna. She was always enthusiastic to encourage young people to chant and was very physically engaging with them. It was a tool she often used in her preaching programs. She would speak and then ask the audience to repeat after her. I've seen so many indomitable or indifferent youth souls charmed within minutes, becoming almost mystically compelled to chant and dance or simply shout Hare Krishna out loud with enthusiasm, simply by the dynamic power of her presence. Janmashtami and Vyas Puja with Srila Prabhupada. A highlight for all the London-bound devotees in Montreal was the opportunity to spend Vyas Puja with Srila Prabhupada. For Jamuna, especially watching him in the tiny temple kitchen as he cooked special dishes that were his spiritual master's favorite, were treasured moments. She carefully wrote each recipe down in her ever-present notebook, waiting for the opportunity to make it herself for his pleasure. On Janmashtami, all of the women cooked special preparations and many more were brought by the guests. Jamuna said that the occasions of Janmashtami and Vyas Puja were very joyous. Janmashtami fell on August 16, 1968, and the Vyas Puja combined the celebration of Srila Prabhupada's appearance day with Nanda Mahotsav. His Divine Grace supervised several cooking preparations for these festivals. He made a preparation for the pleasure of his own spiritual master on Vyas Puja, consisting of a variety of urd badas. I got to cook these for Srila Prabhupada. He would take this in the evening with puffed rice, but I didn't make them so nicely. I was making them not with the hole in the middle, I was making them small like this, and you whip it so it gets really, really light, and then you fry it. And Prabhupada would take a very light meal in the evening, using urd dal, a little hing and black pepper and salt. The preparation is made by soaking the dal, grinding it into a light batter, and then deep frying the balls of it in clarified butter. The devotees had brought cultured sour cream instead of yogurt, so rather than floating the vadas in a traditional lightly churned yogurt, they were floating in this churned sour cream. I remember it being a spectacular hit at the feast. Srila Prabhupada also instructed us how to make pantoa, which is a Bengali sweet made traditionally with fresh paneer cheese and fresh koa, a soft condensed dried milk. Srila Prabhupada, however, made the preparation out of powdered milk and fresh cheese. Then they were deep fried in clarified butter and soaked in thick sugar syrup. They appeared to be very similar to the preparation of gulab jamuns. These were also a spectacular success at the feast. And it reminds me because when Jamuna came to first meet Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada was cooking for the wedding of Janaki. He was marrying Janaki to Mukunda. And she was on a macrobiotic diet, no sugar, zero, nothing, no sugar. And most of us, we came not eating sugar. We refused to eat sugar, but somehow or other, for the festivals, boy, gulab jamuns, ISKCON bullets, there is no way you cannot have a gulab jamun. But Jamuna tells it how Prabhupada, put the whole gulab jamun, and she was like shocked because she was on the strict macrobiotic diet. It was a very simple diet, too austere. Prabhupada even got angry at one point because she was cooking steamed vegetables for him. And he said, "Damn this starvation committee." I just love that. There's so many lovely, rascally stories about Srila Prabhupada and cooking. In fact, I have one painting in my house that Prabhupada's got a real rascally look on his face, and I tell the story about Harapanchami. I mean, not Harapanchami, it's Harsharani. Harsharani was cooking samosas in the kitchen, and Srila Prabhupada came into the kitchen, and she was looking around, what is she doing? And he said, "Yes, I'm making samosas, Srila Prabhupada." And he went over to the samosas and popped one in his mouth. And she was like floored. "Prabhupada, how could you do that?" And then Prabhupada looked right at her and popped another one in his mouth. In the old days, we made them small, and they were so good. They were out of only cauliflower and peas, no potato. Prabhupada taught us they were real delicacies. And Prabhupada popped a second one, and she got indignant. "Prabhupada, you're not supposed to eat in the kitchen." And Prabhupada said, "Who has taught you these things?" And she said, "You, Srila Prabhupada." And he said, "I make the rules, I break the rules." And he walked out. And I have a picture, he's having this rascally look on his face, just like that, like, "Give me 2 guns, How I have 1 gun, only 1 hand, I have a second hand, where's my gun? I need a gun for both hands. Prabhupada, he knew how to completely disarm you, charm you. Oh, you melt immediately. Just so that complete humanity and there's no contradiction. It's like Krishna and the cowherd boys, all the rascally things that he would do, So this is Prabhupada. He would just challenge us at every moment. Sometimes he would speak languages we didn't even know, or he would he would start arguing with us as if he was an impersonalist. And you'd be surprised, and he would just challenge you. And he was always trying to make you stronger, more committed in what he's taught you. Just the way in which he did everything was just, your heart melted, just melted. Okay, so again, it is interesting to note Jamuna's total recall of preparations made by Srila Prabhupada in 1968. Each appearance or disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Regardless of where we were in the world, she would make this urd dal vada dish, even though urd dal is an acquired taste for the Western palate. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, if you're not eating urd dal regularly, you must be taking fish on the sly. I always thought that was so hilarious, you know. So we all were very careful about acquiring a taste for urd dal. When the vadas were prepared in this way, as Srila Prabhupada prepared them in Montreal, they were sublime. Jamuna said a substantial showing of the Indian community appeared for the Janmashtami program, which lasted many hours, and one by one, beginning with the senior male members, then the senior female members, and then the newest brahmacharis and brahmacharinis, each disciple spoke about their appreciation for Krishna and their spiritual master. At the end of all the discourses, one young French-speaking brahmachari, just newly initiated, got up to speak something. And with a choked-up voice, he made apologies that he wasn't very experienced in this Krishna consciousness philosophy. But somehow or other, he had been engaged in rolling chapatis in the kitchen. And day in and day out, he rolled chapatis. He had been listening to the lecture tapes of Srila Prabhupada, and with tears in his eyes, he said, "Please allow me the opportunity to eternally roll chapatis for my spiritual master and listen to these tapes." We all listened to Prabhupada's lectures over and over again. We enjoyed them so much. At this point, Srila Prabhupada, with tears in his eyes, very feelingly said, "Thank you. Thank you very much." Srila Prabhupada appeared, appreciated each and every devotee's service, and each of us felt honored to be able to perform even the slightest of service for him. Jamuna realized that Srila Prabhupada's spontaneous request to have each of the devotees speak on the philosophy of Krishna consciousness as his way of preparing them to preach all over the world. It was unexpected, so each of them had to draw on their innate understanding. Jamuna spoke the following: "I am offering my repeated humble obeisances unto my spiritual preceptor, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Please try to understand that everything we are learning here in Krishna consciousness is received through the ears. And if one does not listen submissively, one cannot hear the transcendental message. This is the opening of Srimad Bhagavatam. It states that at the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam in the forest of Naimisharanya, many sages were present. It was so quiet that the dropping of a pin could be heard on the sand. So the science of Krishna consciousness must be received submissively. Our spiritual preceptor has taught Krishna consciousness to the Western world in the hopes that people will sincerely take to this process of practicing bhakti yoga, or the yoga of devotional service and love unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. This is not a sect. This is for the people of the world to understand one premise, that I am not this body. I am pure spirit soul, and that this body is simply a dress, just like you wear clothes. And that, what is that? What is that? Keeps you alive. That is eternal. That is spirit soul. This is so simple that even a child at the age of 5 years can understand this. If it is from a bona fide source, he can understand this. If we're requesting that you please come to the practice of Bhagavatam, come to Kirtan by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You at once are elevated unto the spiritual platform. We have one tiny minute, so it's hard to stop, actually. I just love her writing. Our contaminated material senses may become purified simply because this association with the names of God, these names are absolute. They're not material. If you chant water, 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 your thirst will not be quenched. If you cry Krishna, 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 you may find your position in this world, where you came from, where you are, why you are here, and what you are doing, and where you are going. These questions man must answer, or he is not making use of the ability of man. He is simply living an animal life, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. It does not matter if you are a man or a woman or a child, or whether you're Indian or American. You must simply ask these questions, and when one comes upon a bona fide source, he must take advantage of that source and not pass it up. Krishna consciousness, or practice of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, is open to all, and we invite you to please come chant Hare Krishna and feel the sublime ecstasy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, thank you. Jai Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.